Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Mark from Solo Games, and today I'm gonna have a quick update on Grand Archive. So I ran my patron special. I think it was like this past weekend, and I think it's been 5 days or so far for the patron special for the Grand Archive. My prices I think are fairly competitive to market, but obviously all the prices are kind of pushed higher, and right now it is still looking like there's more and more people coming into the market and really wanting to play this game, and there's just not enough products, it looks like, on the market. But I can tell you this right now, some data for those that are kind of watching and are curious on the sidelines, maybe are curious what's going on with the Grand Archive and whether it has legs. I don't know long term, like nobody knows, and the thing is, I still truly believe that any new game needs 2 years or so of expansions, running events, and all sorts of like view perceptions. I want to see some mistakes type of things and how the company deals with those things. But so far, I'm telling you guys, like this thing is out of the gate, super hype, tons of people buying products, and the patron sale did super well. In fact, this patron sale did better than my previous one for last month. And the reason I think that happened is partially just because there's just a lot more people who are really into this game. I don't know what else to tell you. Like, and if you look at the price points, I know one of the somebody asked me, I think on YouTube comments, something like, "Hey, why would you get into this game? It's so expensive, right?" And I'm like, "Is this expensive? Is $90, $95 booster boxes, $100 boost boxers expensive in today's day and age? Is it really?" Because I look over Magic and most set boosters, draft boosters, whatever, are over 100. And this one is, I don't know, under 100. Now, yes, it's 24 packs, there's less cards, but the cards are higher quality, the game is good, it's new, so there's a lot of need to open boxes because there's not a flood of singles. And honestly, there's just kind of lack of supply right now on the market overall. Now, am I telling everyone to go out there, buy Grand Archive, you're going to make 2x, 3x your money? No, I never tell people to do that because that's stupid. Right? Obviously, there's a point where you can lock in product at a certain price that totally makes sense for you, but don't do that. Don't be an idiot, right? But so that everyone understands, there is a reprint coming. However, that reprint is looking like it's going to come at the end of July, early August, that time frame. So you see some stores probably are already putting out pre-orders for the next reprint, but that's not going to be available for a couple months. So just be aware, right? As people are still deck building, playing tournaments, if you don't have the cards, you don't have the cards. So there is value, and part of it is like, hey, like, why would I pay, let's say, 95 when I could wait a month and pay 85? Yeah, it's $10 less. So please wait 2 months, and then you can get your boxes for 85. But all the tournaments you can't go to because you don't have a deck, all the things. I mean, it's your choice, right? Like you could just not do it. It's not a problem. For me personally, I'm playing this game. I love playing the game, so that's why I opened a whole case so I can get cards. And I realized the case wasn't even enough for pretty much the cards I need to build my deck. So I'm still kind of trading around a little bit, which is really nice. It's really cool that there are a lot of deck archetypes that are viable right now, and a lot of things being tried out by a lot of people, so that your trades are valuable. There's not like this specific meta deck that everyone's going towards, and so no cards are worth money unless it's part of that deck. It's more like everyone's still kind of figuring it out, right? And if you play a certain hero, like your limited options are there. It's kind of similar to like a color in Magic, except it's a little bit more narrow than that. So it allows you to have a little bit more of a focus archetype, and certain cards will probably hold value better because if I play Assassin, I kind of have to play the Assassin cards. Think like early days of Magic or even Commander, right? Where you had to play bad cards because there were not that many elves, or there were not that many, I don't know, like Thalids. I guess Thalids today, or Cephalids, right? Cephalids today are still pretty rare in Magic, so you probably have to play like bad ones. But imagine like, over time you're going to have those available. But so that's what's happening right now, is there's a lot of decks that are kind of running a little bit not optimized because there's just not enough cards. And the other thing about this game is that you're running a 60 card deck, right? And we can ignore the 12 card material deck for now, but in your 60 card deck, you don't have mana. So you're running straight up 60 cards. So the card requirement of this game is higher than Magic as well, because Magic is like 40% of the deck is mana. This game, it's not that way at all. Like if you're looking at like the entire deck is all gas, right? and it's just like it's gas that you can trade for resources and then trade it back into gas. It actually comes back in your hand. So the mana system in this game is actually very well done because it allows you to do a lot of like cycling and recycling kind of things. Your cards are resources until they become cards again, and then back to resources. And sometimes you lose it permanently, but you get a very powerful regalia, right? One of the items from your material deck out to play. So, anyways, Grand Archive, so far, what I'm seeing, the patrons who have DM'd me after they've received their product and saying how much they like it. One of my patrons actually had sent me pictures of him playing with his son and really just kind of figuring out the rules and really loving the game, right? And they had a blast just playing with starter decks, no upgrades yet, and they're about to open some booster boxes, I guess, to insert cards in and all that stuff. And that's the beautiful thing. I mean, it's like it's been so long, and we really need a game where I think, people can feel this way. And contrary to popular beliefs, because I know a lot of people out there are big Flesh and Blood fans now because that game has been doing pretty well, right? I've actually met quite a few people, and myself included, that kind of took up Flesh and Blood, but felt like, as you're playing it, it just didn't have that same feeling, and it was a little harder to learn, maybe because it was so different from Magic, and it was so personal, because Flesh and Blood is all about your hero. You have no allies, no champions, no like side things, no creatures. It was just your hero doing battle, and everything in your hand was like, you're trying to do damage or whatever spells, attacks, etc. through your hero. And this game feels different because it feels more like Magic. You have allies, which are creatures. You have spells, etc. Right? And so and you have a hand that grows. I think one of my problems with Flesh and Blood is it's a decrease, right? You start the game very strong. You have items, you have a full hand of cards, you have all your cards available to you, probably the most powerful ones, and you could cast really crazy like moves. But then as the game progresses, you're forced to use weaker cards, your equipments are all dead. It just feels like the game actually slows down. Now, a lot of people do like that part of it, and I think that is very uniquely Flesh and Blood. But at the same time, there's something really nice and powerful about a game where you feel like you're rewarded for playing longer, right? Like where a slow deck, a control deck essentially, can actually have a viable late game. You don't want to win early, right? Because right now, one of the problems, especially with other games like, is you want to go fast. Now, that's happening in Grand Archive as well right now, because I think part of it because the meta hasn't been figured out. And part of it, of course, faster decks obviously are the most obvious paths, and they usually get picked out first as the meta. But as more people play, as more people show like a different way to win, it will change. And recently I just listened to a podcast by like Mark Rosewater where he's talking to Brian Tinsman about card advantage and how cool it was just to have a player who, Brian Tinsman invented the deck. It was the first, I guess, constructed deck that was focused around drawing cards as your win condition. And so you can imagine, like longer term in this game, there are going to be more people inventing cool, interesting decks and stuff like that. So yeah, as far as I can tell, man, the gameplay is good. I see a ton of people still collecting the cards. The secondary market for this game is just going through the roof. Now, again, feels like a bubble. And if every time we look at this graph, I always think, where are we in the curves? Now, look, long term, 10 years, 20 years, as long as Grand Archive does well, as long as the developers continue putting their heart and soul into the game and continue to do their best work, they will make mistakes. It's inevitable for anything, right? But they are going to correct those mistakes and continue to move forward. 10, 20 years from now, Grand Archive, even these alt editions, Dawn of Ash, etc., are going to be worth a lot of money, right? That I'm not concerned about. I know all these things long term will be fine. My only concern right now is that I do think short term it is a bubble, and you got to be really careful because unless you have liquidity to hold yourself out for like 4, 5, 6 years potentially, I wouldn't jump super hard into the game right now because again, a lot of the prices are peaked, right? So that's just my recommendation. But anyways, if you're just playing the game, again, that recommendation is only on the collectible side. So if you're looking to like buy the signatures, collectors, ultra rare, etc., I would let the dust settle a little bit. I think those prices actually have come down a little bit, but of course, some of the more staple cards are going up. So there's a little bit like a convergence of the collectors coming down on pricing, and then the players go moving up, which actually is really healthy signal. that tells me that the player base is actually coming up on this game and that it's not a collector's market, which is great because, especially in the beginning of a game, you want the game to be fun because I don't believe any card game, right, TCG, that is only collectible, Pokemon, MetaZoo, this kind of stuff, can last long term, right? And can be fun. I don't really want to be part of it. And this is one of the reasons I don't really partake in Pokemon because it's not something I'm really interested in doing, right? But anyways, that's that. Yeah, so I would say if you're playing the game, if there's something that you're interested in, the starter decks aren't expensive. I think you can get most of them for I think TCG Player has a market price around 18 plus tax, shipping, whatever. My patrons, get them from me for 15, shipped and all that stuff. And of course, booster boxes are, I think on TCG Player are about 100 plus tax and shipping. I'm at 95 shipped, so nice price. But obviously that's because I want to help people who believe in me and support me through the Patreon system. So there's that. Also, as a reminder, I do want to tell everyone, please, if you want to join the community, talk about Grand Archive, talk about any of this stuff, Discord, link in the description down below, along with Patreon, other ways to get kind of in contact with me, all that stuff. So there's that. I don't know what else to say. Grand Archive right now feels to me like this game has a lot of potential. Another point, actually, we didn't even talk about this, but Grand Archive recently just sold I think it was Saturday, they released their tickets for the Ascent event coming in end of September, early October in Houston, right? This is their first tournament, first big event type of thing. Those tickets sold out, I think, within like 15 minutes, I want to say. And the VIP tickets were sold out instantaneously. I was online, ready to go at 6 p.m. Pacific time, trying to buy the VIP tickets. And I dropped down the thing for one, I hit add, and it was like unavailable. So I totally missed out. But I did have a champion pass or ticket for the Path of Steel. So I will be going to Grand Archive tournament, and I will be playing the game and trying to, top 8, really trying to win. We'll see. Competition is going to be pretty fierce, and by the time that this event happens, the Fracture Crown expansion will be out as well. So a lot more cards added, 50 more cards or so added into the pool, and really going to switch up the meta. I'm already looking at some of the cards, and yes, a lot of them are going to change up the meta so much. But yeah, there's that. Anyways, that's going to do it for me for today. Mark Sola Games. Guys, if you haven't checked out Grand Archive, do not hesitate. Go check it out. Go to your local game store or some store near you. If you're in the Bay Area, we have a store in Berkeley. We run a tournament twice a week. 2 times a month, so every other week, right? There's a store I visit called Victory Point Cafe. And we go there, we have fun. If you need more info, join the Discord. I can pass you all the info you need to come join and hang out. Bring your decks. We'll teach. We can, play. We're very beginner friendly. But obviously, there's side events. So the tournaments happen every other week, the official events. But there's always people looking for a game at that cafe. So if you're local, you're around, and you're interested, come hang out, and then we'll do some Grand Archiving. Cool. This is going to do it for me for today. Mark Sola Games. I'll see you next time. Stay classy.